We know that Iran, for at least a generation, has been very active in supporting elements of terror around the globe. That is why they are on that now shorter list of state sponsors of terror. And that is a designation that this administration takes very seriously. And there are a whole host of sanctions and other ways that we have made clear to the Iranians that we have concerns about the way that they sponsor terrorism around the globe. What we have also been clear about is that we do not anticipate that these nuclear negotiations are going to resolve our concerns about their support for terror.
All right, there's so much there. Joining us now is the former Attorney General of the United States, Michael Mukasey, and he's a partner in Debevoise and Plimpton. Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's always great to speak to you, sir. Let's leave the White House aside for a second. I mean, what comes out of there is so disturbing. They're willing to separate and acknowledging that they're separating the rest of Iran's dirty deeds from this Iran deal, which to me is just incomprehensible. But you wrote a great piece at the Wall Street Journal talking about the head of the CIA, John Brennan, first documenting many of the things he has said over the recent years, which are outrageous. But you focus on something he said the other day, which really muddies the water for any objective review of any deal by the CIA.
Yeah, he said that anybody who understands the facts underlying the framework that they've put in place, they don't call it an agreement, whatever it means, anybody who understands what that is and objects to it is being, in his words, wholly disingenuous. What that means is that he has already decided that this deal has to go forward. As a result of that, anybody at the CIA who comes up with evidence that shows the Iranians are cheating, as they have in the past on every single agreement they've ever entered into, is essentially going to be unwelcome and knows it. And anybody who's concerned about his future career isn't going to want to report bad news if the boss has already made up his mind.
So he's made it impossible for them to be objective.
Correct. He's made it impossible for them to be objective, and also for the advice of the CIA to be taken at face value by people outside the agency.
Okay, so you suggest a B team, and I'll get to that in a second, but do you put this on the same plane, kind of, maybe, as Barack Obama, or I shouldn't say Barack Obama, let's just say the Justice Department indictment of Senator Menendez, who strenuously has objected not only to the Iranian deal but also the Cuban deal?
Well, it's of a different sort. I mean, this is just another inane statement by the head of the CIA, which has the effect of taking his agency out of the equation in any future discussion.
Now, your recommendation is for the Congress to put together former people who used to work in the agency and in important positions to objectively look at this, to take the place, I guess, of the fact that the CIA, as you say, has been taken out of the picture.
Well, not necessarily take the place, but at least to have a standard of comparison. This goes back to something that George H.W. Bush did back in 1976 when he headed the CIA, and there was a dispute. That was an election year, of course, and there was a dispute about what the capabilities were of the Soviet Union. He got together what he called a Team B to provide a competitive report to the people who were supposed to be doing the analysis within the agency. This would be a competitive team of people who had clearance, who were well credentialed, who would report not only to the administration but also to Congress and the military, so that we could be sure, and as well as to the candidates for the two parties when they get chosen, so that we can be sure that whatever debate we have about this plan or agreement or program is in fact based on facts and not on fantasies.
What is your reaction when you hear the White House and the State Department acknowledge that, yeah, they're perpetuators of terrorism, but we can't ask them not to harm Americans? In other words, they said they would veto any bill, the Corker bill, if it includes a provision that says Iran can't kill Americans through terrorism. They also said they can't ask Iran to recognize the right of Israel to exist. They acknowledge all the other flaws with Iran, but they say basically, so what? We need this deal.
Well, question is obviously, what kind of a deal can you have with people who do all the other things that they do?
Right.
Even if you take this simply based on an analysis of their record in nuclear performance, the fact is that they have never made an agreement that they didn't cheat on.
Absolutely, and we have no, and the IAEA has said that they've been unable to verify anything in this
Yeah,
up to
former
this
Deputy
point.
Director General of the IAEA,
Right, absolutely, Michael.
said that if
we got it. Unfortunately, the clock has gotten us. Mr. Attorney General, thank you so much. Ron Christie is next, folks. Don't go away.